Hi everybody, my name is Linda Trefrey. I'm a senior associate with Coldwell Banker Commercial Blair. And I am speaking to you from our office in downtown Long Beach. And today we are going to focus on how to negotiate your commercial lease in a mixed-use development. And if you've been to downtown Long Beach, you're going to see a lot of new developments. Some of it's already been constructed, some of it is under construction. There's a lot of vacant commercial space on the ground floor, retail, restaurant space, and it's important for you to know how to negotiate with a developer. So moving forward, let's just start with the right mindset. This is important. Everything is negotiable. The landlord, who is the developer, is very invested in getting the right tenant into their space on the ground floor because that's basically going to serve as an amenity for their project. It's going to create more attractiveness to their project, especially if you have residents. In many cases, we see between 200 and 400 units in these developments that are being constructed. So when you think about 200 to 400 households that are looking for services on the ground floor, it's very attractive to get the right tenant into that space. So the landlord wants to work with you, the developer wants to work with you, and you're basically going to be the draw for that project. So keeping in mind that you are going to receive, when you're negotiating with a developer, you're going to receive a lease that is probably 50 to 60 pages long. Before you even enter into negotiations for the lease, you're going to be negotiating a letter of intent, an LOI, which basically defines the terms. Here are the top 5 terms that you must negotiate. Your rent structure, of course. Exclusive use. You certainly don't want to be competing with another business that's a similar use as yours. Build-out allowance. That's commonly called a TI allowance or tenant improvement allowance. Rent abatement, that refers to free rent. And then exit rights. In the event that you need to sell your business for whatever reason, you want the right to be able to sell that business and then reassign the lease to a new business owner. So if you look at these 5 terms, what do you ask for? So typically, working with a developer for a mixed-use project, they are working with triple net leases, which means that you are paying also, in addition to your base rent, your CAM expense or triple net fees. Those terms are used interchangeably, and you would want to cap those increases, those annual increases, to 3 to 5%, which would more or less be in line with CPI for the region that you're in. And avoid percentage rent if possible. Typically, percentage rent is used more in retail strips. Some landlords may try to use it in a mixed-use property. It's not very common, but avoid that if you can at least do so. Exclusive use clause, we just talked about. You don't want to be in direct competition with another use. TI allowance, this is probably going to be the most important negotiation point in your LOI and your lease, and that means that you need to build out this shell space. So it's not built out yet. You need to get permits, you need to do the build out, you need to get inspections and sign off from the city jurisdiction that you're working in, and you will need to get a certificate of occupancy before you can even open your doors. And that is a fair amount of time and money that's involved. So the money part will be addressed with the TI allowance negotiations, but you also need some free rent so that you can take on that task of actually building out your space and not have to pay rent until you're ready to start opening for business and generating revenue of your own. Sublease rights, as I mentioned, if you need to sell your business, you want the ability to be able to reassign that lease to a new business owner. And tenant rep broker, believe it or not, there's a lot of tenant rep brokers out there who would be happy to work with you, who are very knowledgeable in negotiating all these terms and more, especially when you have a 50 to 60 page lease for some of these projects. So you're not alone. I personally work both landlord relationships and tenant relationships, and I would be happy to work with you if you would like to contact me directly. My contact information is in the presentation, and just remember that you should never negotiate alone. The landlord has a lawyer. They have many people on their staff that will be negotiating the lease with the tenant. And you should have at least a tenant rep broker if you don't have a lawyer, and other resources like an architect and anybody that can help you with the build out. Know your leverage, know that you can certainly ask for more than you expect, and never sign a lease on the first draft. Anyways, thank you for listening and have a great day.